You gotta give me one thing. I'm a scary judge of talent.
Adolphus Washington back-to-back plays.
The Detroit Pistons select Luke Kennard from Duke University.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Triple Double Podcast, Season 2, second episode. And today we've got a return guest from Season 1, TJ Kelley, the owner, creator of Inside Prep Sports, Michigan's premier scouting service, subscribed to by the best of the best NCAA Division I schools across the country. Over the last decade, TJ has established himself as the source for college hoops for college basketball coaches on Michigan prep talent. One of the craziest people I know, my good friend, TJ. What's up, TJ?
Hey, what's happening? How you doing? What's up, Morrow?
What's up, buddy?
You like that intro, huh?
Yeah, that intro. I mean, it was the B of the B. The best of the best.
The best of the best.
It just puts it a whole new level up. I figure I'm the Bob now.
Well, I mean, you're backed by popular demand. We asked people, who listened to the show on Season 1 who they wanted to have return, and your name came up quite often.
Well, I'll tell you what. It's I'm not hanging out in my backyard by the bonfire this time.
There you go, man. I mean, I haven't heard from you in a while, so I thought we could use this time to catch up. So let's start off with this on the basketball front, man. I mean, we were on different schedules in July. So how was your July? What all did you do on the basketball front?
Oh man, it was great. I started off my July with reached as a tournament, the July tune-up, which is pretty good just to get out of. After you're done with the team camps and stuff like that, guys kind of get together and they can have just a little bit of bonding and stuff like that as a team, before they go out on the road. But I started off in New York with the Adidas Gauntlet, which was pretty good. Not a big fan of having a tournament in New York, in the city proper, just because it's kind of hard to get around. I know that there were some parents and stuff like that were complaining that, even college coaches, that, it's $25 per part. It's kind of difficult to get to, but it is what it is. But, there's still really good talent. So it was good to hit with the Adidas circuit.
That's why I like Spiece. Something like Spiece, there's no traffic. You get up there. I mean, everything's real easy in New York, LA, even we've done we used to do that Adidas event in Chicago, you and me, and I mean, just getting through the traffic there to the northern suburbs, and the gyms are an hour apart. I mean, those aren't the ideal places.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's pretty crazy. Actually, I started off that day, the first period. I went to Elevate Hoops event in Pennsylvania, ran by Rob Edelman, which was
great event,
pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I like to go to some of the smaller events and stuff like that, just because you get to see some guys that aren't on the beating path, that are off the beaten path. Now I look at, so the same time that, those events are going on, you got the Peach Jam that's down in Augusta. At the same time, I think that so many of those players, as a scout, it really doesn't do anything for me, just because I'm not going to see anything that nobody hasn't been watching or paid a lot of attention to since April. So, within between those tournaments, you got Boo Williams, which is a part of the, which is not a certified event, but, they meet 3 or 4 times or something like that, before the Peach Jam. So for me, just going over to Atlanta to watch the Under Armour was pretty beneficial. So I hit up those 3 tournaments to start the season or start the July certified periods. But
Right, I want to jump in on Elevate. My team played in the Elevate in April in Indianapolis, and it was a tremendous, tremendous event. I was thinking the talent on the 15 and under and 16 and under isn't what the shoe circuits were, but the 17 and under, it had some high level guys in there. I mean, there were 20 plus Division I schools, mid majors, and then even some, high majors at some of the games. The kid Dante Allen that's going to Kentucky was in there playing with his team. Dinos Trigonis, who works with those guys and has the kids from LA, he had some high major kids in there. So, those were great events. And that's like what you talked about in the past. Like, if you're a scouting service guy, those are, unless you're over at Nike or Under Armour, maybe watching 16 and 15-year-olds at the 17 and under level, those are probably the best events for you. You get to see so many, not under the radar because a lot of those kids are still well known, but less publicized kids in the spring.
Yeah. I mean, and I think that's the key, to scouting is go out there and find some players, if you can, or go watch some teams, rehash some teams that of players that you've seen from the year before, and then follow up, and then pretty much just set up a schedule, maybe players to see and stuff like that. Go on asking college coaches, the guys who are subscribers for me, to my service, where, hey, what are you looking for in this class? And pretty much, you can map out what you want to do, and you have to be very efficient with your time as well. But yeah, it's good to see, different players in different parts of the country as well. And so I think that the Indianapolis certified period in April, just as a city, they've got so much talent and, different tournaments and stuff like that, where it's a really win-win situation.
You can't go wrong no matter where you spend your time in that one. That's kind of how I viewed it.
Yeah. I also had a great opportunity to go over to the Elite 32, which was down just north of Atlanta as well, not far away from the Under Armour event. And the guys over there, they do a great job. And what they do is they have Under Armour teams, and it's only a Saturday and Sunday event, but they have Under Armour teams. There are some Adidas teams there. You have some EYBL teams, and then there are a lot of like local Atlanta or let's say Georgia and Tennessee teams. So, I was able to watch a team like the Tennessee Panthers, and I'm like looking over, I'm just like, man, this kid's pretty good over here, Next thing you know, he's getting offers. Next thing you know, and not only that, there are so many college coaches at the Elite 32 where they just do a great job of that. And
well, then at those events, you're also doing more identification and evaluation, where when it gets to July at the 17 and under level, at the shoe circuit level especially, they're not doing evaluations. There's a lot of babysitting involved of just showing your face at the kid you've already watched, and a college coach isn't going to that game to get a lot of new information on another kid from that prospect's team. They're just going to watch one kid.
100%. And yeah, and that's more for, like, I think what the college coaches are doing. For me, I'm just going out there just trying to see, this is the only time of the year that I go down to Atlanta, to watch hoops. So, in saying that, it allows me to really go out there and see some guys that I haven't necessarily seen. And there are also a whole bunch of guys that are under the radar. I just want to bring up one kid real quick, is up from the Tennessee Panthers 17 and under team, Jalen Sincor, out of Bartlett High School in Tennessee. But this is a kid who didn't really play a lot of 16 and under because I think he was injured. He transferred, and so he had to sit his junior year in high school. And so, unless you're a Tennessee Martin or a Tennessee Chattanooga or one of the Tennessee State or something like that, you really don't have an idea of who this kid is, or he just wasn't necessarily on the map. And all of a sudden, this kid goes out there and he's a 6'4" guard, and he's all of a sudden, he's turning a lot of heads, and he's wound up picked up quite a few offers. But yeah, it was overall. It's good to see. It's good to make sure that you're out there and seeing new talent, or just try to go out there and see what other guys aren't doing, as far as on the scouting business.
Right. And Tennessee's, one of those states where you've got a lot of rural areas, and it's Ohio's a little bit like this as well, but Tennessee's even more so, where the state is so long horizontally. Like if you live in Knoxville versus if you live in Memphis, it's almost like a whole different part of the country, and it's hard for any scout to be able to see all of those areas. So you can really get in if you see some rural kids, some like kind of Appalachian area kids. The scouting service guys probably aren't in those areas because there's more population and year in and year out talent in Nashville and Memphis, where we're pretty well known for basketball. So that's exactly what those events do. And there's great stuff going on with Elevate, with like you said, the Elite 32, the guys in Atlanta, Big Shots, all those guys, Dinos Dragonis and them, they're doing good stuff. So,
Yep.
Well, let me ask you this: when you were out in July, no one does more talking than you. So you talked to all these different college coaches. What news, if any, or what observations did you have regarding how people are reacting to next year's NCAA recruiting calendar change?
Oh man, it's gonna be interesting. Let's say this: the landscape of scheduling, and there are going to be a lot of events that are going to pop up. Just because I know that, like, as far as the high schools go, I know that in Michigan, and so as soon as we got off the road, and I think August 1st through the 3rd was the Michigan Elite 25, and so we've got the high school coaches, some of the best high school coaches in the state of Michigan, and I kind of was like, all right, well, how kind of put something together, so that it could benefit the high schools, and I think that it's good just to kind of give as far as the new scheduling and stuff like that, it's going to be good just because it's going to allow a lot of high school coaches to really, I don't want to say get their foot in the door, but be able to network with a lot of college coaches, where I don't think that they're just not many high school coaches aren't up on the scene like AAU coaches.
We've talked about this on the podcast, though. I mean, I think it's going to be a thing where the rich get richer. Like, for example, and this isn't a knock on the guy, like Sonny Johnson of Garfield Heights has already announced that he's going to have an event, and his event's going to obviously draw a lot of coaches, and it's going to draw a lot of high school teams. But when you look at Sonny, he's a guy who's already very connected with college coaches. Mm-hmm. So high school coaches who aren't as connected are going to gravitate towards Sonny's event. So, I mean, it's interesting. We've talked on this podcast with you and with other people kind of about adaptation. And, as basketball changes with NCAA rules and everything, it's going to be interesting to see who kind of grabs the bulls by the horns and, has an event and, puts himself an opportunity to create exposure for kids, but, also to have a good financial payday. And, like Chaz is having an event. Sonny's having an event, and I'm sure there's going to be events that are going to pop up in Columbus and Cincinnati as well as Detroit. So it's really interesting. And I mean, I've heard different sides to it. I mean, how do you think college coaches view the change?
Let's say this: if I'm a mid-major guy, how about this? Cleveland State offers Anthony Davis before anybody knew who Anthony Davis was. Why would I ever recommend for him to go to any elite showcase for everybody else to see?
That's the point everybody keeps making. Absolutely.
How is anybody? I'm not going to. It is what it is. And is it going to be necessary? Is it going to be beneficial to those kids that are under the radar? And we've got the homeschool kid. If you really don't go out there and do your homework, you're not going to see this kid. They play homeschool kids. They play 2 games in a day. And it usually it's over the weekend or something like that, but it kind of is what it is. I think it makes one thing that a lot of college coaches were telling me, that it's really going to benefit guys like myself, yourself, people that have scouting services, because they're just going to be relied on that much more. At the end of the day, I think that we all need to still make sure that we're on the same page and realize that, that these kids are the ones that are looking for scholarships. I don't have any more time.
I think with the scouting services, I don't necessarily buy that line of logic. I've seen it on Twitter a lot. I've heard about it from college coaches. I've heard about it from scouts. Not sure I agree. I think that if you're an established scout that's got a pretty good following, a pretty good name for yourself, then it's going to benefit you because people who maybe haven't subscribed in the past are going to see their budgets, rise because they're spending less money on packets and travel for events. So they're going to be more likely to subscribe to you. But I mean, in terms of being able to go out in the winter when they're prepping for college games, we're always able to see a whole lot more prep basketball than those guys. So not a whole lot is changing in terms of information that we have that they might not have and us getting that information to them. But I think it's harder if you're a younger scout or if you're a scout that maybe doesn't have as much notoriety nationally because, as I know, as people who've been in scouting for a long time, one of the advantages for us for live period events, we've talked about you don't want to necessarily be sitting there watching the same games as all your subscribers because you're not going to be getting them any different information. But it's a networking thing where you get to spend so much time, making friends and forming relationships, and then that becomes a sales opportunity for you to sell subscriptions. So if I was a young scout trying to, find my niche in this, I would be real worried about when now I'm going to have less face-to-face time with coaches.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I think that one of the things right now is I'd be curious to find out how many scouting services there were across the nation in 2006 when I started. I know that number has jumped roof, 1,000 scouting services now. I know that there are probably about maybe 8 here in Michigan. But yeah, just being around, I think that the other thing about being a scout is, you have to be patient. This is not a microwave gig. And if you do treat it like a microwave gig, then all of a sudden, you might be SOL. You might have a hot year, but you got to make sure that you're really putting out great information, and you have to kind of find your niche. And I think that, that's one of the things that's special about what I do, what you do. I think this podcast is great. I think that what the guys over at 270 Hoops, Zach and Jason, are doing, I think what they're doing is great. And there's some guys, Vince Baldwin is pretty much a Nike guy, so that's his niche. And I think that, you might have to, guys as a scouting service have to, kind of test out. But then the other thing is, just building a relationship with college coaches, over the years, go make sure you go out there and shake a whole bunch of hands, which can, obviously lead to, friendships and all this other stuff. I mean, I've had, Drew Valentine over at Loyola, he's a kid that went to my camp, but I've known who I've known his dad, I've known, his brother, his high school coaches, his high school teammates. And, a guy like Dave Metzendorf, who's another Michigan guy who's an assistant coach over at Holy Cross, another kid that went to my camp as a kid. And, it's good to see these guys. Nate Schmidt being another one, over in Indian Hills.
I knew you were going to say Nate Schmidt.
Yeah. Nate's my guy. First thing I see to Nate every single time is like, kind of like the write-up that I did. I was like, knows his spots on the floor, lefty, strong student, good size.
Limited athletically.
So, he kind of laughs about it, but I mean, he was one of those guys who was going to be a better coach than he was as a basketball player. And he did play at Defiance for a couple of years. So, or not Defiance, starts with a D or something like that in Columbus.
Right. Denison.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So a little brain fart there. So.
This podcast is brought to you by PlayEasy.com for players, coaches, or casual athletes looking to book a sports facility, as well as owners and managers of sports facilities. PlayEasy.com is the new one-stop site for streamlined services. If you're looking for a place to practice, play, host your tournament, camp, or other, simply go to PlayEasy.com and create a booking request for your area. Your request will go out to surrounding facilities who will respond with their best offer. Once you receive the offer that best fits your needs, book the facility and you're ready to play. For facility owners and managers, PlayEasy puts the power in your hands to maximize the usage and visibility of your facility. Register your facility for free today at PlayEasy.com. PlayEasy.com is the booking site built by athletes, coaches, and facility managers, and is proud to help bring you the Triple Double Podcast. This podcast is also brought to you by Anago Cleaning Systems. Are you tired of struggling in a dead-end job? If so, Anago Cleaning Systems has what you're looking for, an opportunity to go into business for yourself, but not by yourself. With franchising opportunities available for as little as a $2,500 down payment, purchasing an Anago franchise has never been easier. Once you own your Anago franchise, you're licensed to clean commercial facilities all around the greater Cincinnati, Dayton, or Columbus areas with the support of Anago's sales, quality control, operational, and accounting staff. Call 513-332-0033 today for your opportunity to be your own boss and grow your own commercial cleaning company under the guidance of Anago's proven and successful system. Again, call 513-332-0033 to learn more. With Anago, your future starts today. All right, we're back from break after some technical difficulties. So let's change courses here. Since July ended, what have you been doing? I mean, some people have been using their time, like, Flair's getting married, posting pictures on social media. I mean, it's going to be hard to top.
This dude.
One of our podcast guests actually was all compliments towards Morrow, the way he had that beard going in the Flair wedding picture. So I'm gonna have to send you that after we get done. Yeah,
that's a must. That's a must. Looking like Grizzly Adams.
Right. So what have you been doing post July?
As soon as I got off the road, I went down to Orlando. Well, let's say this. Let me just follow up with the rest of July. I was in Grand Rapids for the brawl for the ball that Indy Heat and the Grand Rapids Storm team up for a tournament, which is pretty great, which is pretty good. And then went down to Orlando. As soon as I got back from Orlando, I want to move in. Then I want to have the Michigan Elite 20, where we bring in the top 25 players on an invite basis from each of the four classes and each of the four graduating classes. So we had that. Yeah,
you moved. You're still 12 mile down, right?
Yeah. I'm still 12 mile down, but I'm a little bit on the south side. I'm keeping it real in the 313. 313 Detroit style.
Are you like near Stovall territory now, where you live?
Near Stovall?
Yeah, his hometown, his parts.
I don't know, man. Stovall's man. He went to a private school and stuff like that. So I mean, we got no idea where John Stovall grew up. We just know that he went to a private school, and at the end of the day, hey, it is what it is. Yeah, but I'm not too far away from my hometown of Southfield. But yeah, so for the rest of the month, the rest of August, pretty much prepared for my showcase, the 13th annual Inside Prep Sports Fall Super Showcase, which was the second Sunday of September. But yeah, I really went through my notes. You got to kind of piece some things together, go through some, if you see some names or something like that, or guys that weren't written up, I go ahead and follow that up. Also go through pretty much all of my spring and summer notes and do some Googling just to see where some kids are. I think that it's important that if you're saying that a kid is a mid-major kid and, that he winds up following up with those offers, or those expected offers. So I really reach out to a lot of the coaches that are looking for bigs or looking for wings or looking for point guards. And then I also follow up and try to find out what everybody needs in the in the upcoming classes, whether it be this year's seniors or the 2019 seniors, 2020 juniors. And then in some instances, sophomores. Then the other thing is I try to help out some coaches get in contact with either high school coaches or their players or their parents, so that they can go to visits, because I see there are a lot more colleges that are having their elite camps in August. So just to kind of follow up there, but yeah, it was. I
like the concept of colleges having their their elite camps in August. I think that's a good way to do it. I mean, one of the things I really wanted you to expand on, we had our conversation about what today's conversation was going to be like, and you said you wanted to talk about some of the fall stuff, and we'll get into open gyms here in a second. But as kids start to come off the board and make commitments at the Division I and Division II level, you see, a lot of fall commitments going on right now. So that really causes your phone to blow up with a school saying, well, we missed on this kid, so now what kid should we really focus on? Or, there's domino effects of families saying, well, my son had an offer from school A, but this other guard took his spot. He went ahead and committed. So now we got to focus on what other schools. So there's a lot of political jockeying and whatnot. And it can be an extremely busy time, not in terms of going around and seeing basketball, but just in terms of working the phone lines.
Yeah. And then you also have official visits and unofficial visits. And guys want to know where, if I'm in the MAC, for example, and there's a kid, the Luke Maraca kid that I just brought up from Toledo, there were, everybody, I think his final three were Ferris State, who were Division II national champions last year. And then Ball State as well as Toledo. Well, sometimes guys want to follow up, and I'm just using Lucas Maraca as an example. But college coaches want to know, well, how was his visit? Do you think he's leaning this way? Do you think he's leaning this way? I hope that he's not distracted by, this other big that we brought in because we think that they can play next to each other. So sometimes there is some relaying of messages and just reinforcing.
Describe, those can be difficult conversations because a lot of the time, if a kid, let's just say, I'm going to throw out a random example. Let's just say a kid has a final three of Eastern Michigan, Western Michigan, and Central Michigan, and all three of them subscribe to you, and you've got the other ones calling you, asking you, well, how did the kid's visit to Eastern go? Well, that's difficult because you really can't betray confidences, but it's your job to get information to the other two schools who are your subscribers, so you've got to kind of walk a tightrope.
Yeah, and let's say this. I believe that the decision comes through the parents, whoever else, the kid, and the college coaches. If the college coaches go out there and do their job, then they can feel confident when a kid's on a visit because he might want to commit in on that visit, or if he's making his official visit or however it winds up going. But I think that the most important thing is just being informed. Parents want to be informed. I've had parents that have reached out and they said, well, what about this school? Hey, I just got a phone call from this school. I appreciate you giving my number out so that, we can get in that contact, and now they can start recruiting. But I think that it's important also think that a lot of college coaches understand that, they're going to reach out and they're going to try to find out, who is, how somebody's visit went or, where they're leaning or where their recruitment is headed, just so that they can be kind of like, well, let's say this, for the vast majority of them, they know that, or they do it. So I don't really, think that I don't really have that much hard conversation with them talking about.
Oh, for sure.
Talking about players.
For sure. Well, you wanted to talk about open gym. So, I assume everybody knows, but, who's listening to this podcast, but let's just, to clarify, Division I coaches are allowed out to visit kids, non-seniors at their school. And then there's some opportunities to do in-home visits with seniors. But, in talking about using this not necessarily as just an evaluation, because most of the kids that these Division I schools are going to be visiting in the fall are kids who they've already seen play multiple times in April and July, maybe even in June at their camp, and have a good feel for. So what I wanted to talk to you about are, I think, the two things that really stand out to me about fall open gyms and having coaches come in and visit you. And the two things are this. Number one, I think that open gym is a great opportunity for the kid where it's oftentimes the first time that they get to have kind of an intimate conversation with that coach one-on-one, where it's not after a game, there's not a lot of other people around, and that kid gets to really sell the coach and the coach gets to sell the kid on who they are and why they might be a good fit. And then the second thing is it's a very quiet atmosphere. Again, there's not all the distractions that come with a high school or AAU basketball game. So the coach gets to also really see the kid in terms of how do they carry themselves at school? How do they carry themselves amongst their teammates? How do they respond to the limited amount of coaching? It's not practice, but it's open gym, and there's somebody from the staff, facilitating it. And you just generally get to see what type of kid it is on and off the court. That's always been my experience.
Yeah, well, and then you also have, you're talking about guys that get to talk, as a sophomore, kids that, college coaches can't talk to, the sophomores or rising juniors until So a lot of the times,
in terms of on the phone, right?
This is their first time
Right.
going, yeah, except for on the phone. But they get to, hey, wow, this coach took his time out of his recruiting period, or out of this recruiting period, to come out and check me out, check out my school, and I think that there's some other, sometimes it's cool stuff because you get a college coach who might have played in that gym, at one point. So just to see how the interaction is there. I mean, I've seen guys that, college coaches where, they're smiling. They're like, man, I put up 34 points in this gym, and they'll go talk to the kid, and next thing you know, it's like one thing. Oh man, I played against your uncle or something like that. And so, I think that, what you were touching on, what you were saying, a conversation, like a one-on-one conversation where, in the school where it can be very beneficial. I also think that when I map out open gym schedules, I try in corresponding with the college coaches, I try to let them know, and it'd be the same thing in Ohio. I mean, our states aren't as big, they're obviously a lot larger than Rhode Island. And so what I try to do is I say, hey, you know what, you can get over to go up along I-75, and as soon as you get into I-75, you go over to River Rouge, which is right off of I-75. Then you can go to Cass Tech. And I try to make it as efficient as possible so that guys can maybe go and see, 3 or 4 schools in a day, if not 5, because we've got some guys.
And that's the
6 o'clock in the morning.
Right. And that's the opportunity to be a relationship, builder. So, I had a guy just in Cincinnati last week, and he came in the night before, and he went to a 6 a.m. workout, and then he went to a 7 a.m. workout, and then he hung out. We actually went to lunch, and he went to a couple things in the afternoon and evening. And, some of the schools he went to, I think it was such a smart move that some of the schools he went to don't have a kid that he's recruiting, but they're teams or school districts that are perennially talented. So He just said, well, I'm already in Cincinnati. I'm going to hit these 4 schools. Why not hit number 5? Because in the next 5-10 years of my coaching, I'm going to have at least one kid I'm going to recruit from this school. And that's something I kind of took from you. And, you telling me kind of stories of guys kind of coming into Detroit to recruit and maybe picking you up from your spot when you were in downtown Detroit and you guys go hit 3 or 4 gyms together.
Yeah. It was, it's just about being efficient. And I think that even with with a lot of mid-major schools, they're not looking at the 2021 class or the 2022 class, but I'll let them know if they're recruiting somebody on that, who's a 2019 or a 2020. I'll go overhead and I'll say, well, also keep an eye out for these couple of kids, just because you're going to probably see them later on down the road. And I think that that's an opportunity for a lot of those kids to get their first looks, because not everybody's looking at 15 and under basketball, and even fewer are looking at 14 and under basketball on the recruiting scene.
There's just not enough time with the live period structured the way they are.
Yes. Yep.
Especially with the emergence of the shoe circuits.
Yeah, and you know what? One thing that I was thinking about with the recruiting as well, and I know I've talked with Mike Garland, Michigan State assistant, about it a couple of times. Is we break everything down to age groups: 15 under, 16 and under, 17 and under. Well, with the recruiting period, with the recruiting kind of changing as far as the scheduling, now you get to watch high school kids play against high school kids. And so you might be watching a 2021, go up against a 2019, and I think that it gives it kind of maybe a better glimpse into what a kid can do. There are just not a lot of shot blockers on the 15 and under level, not a lot of really good defenders on the 15 and under level. And all of a sudden you get to throw them against, guys that are playing up. And so it's almost like, all right, everybody's playing up on the 17 and under level, but then again, 17 and unders, they get to play against, kids that are younger than them. But at the same time, that's the reality of college basketball. It doesn't get broken up into 19 and under, 20, 20 and 21 and 22 on under, So
no, I think you drilled it, TJ, because that brings up one of kind of the oldest adages in scouting is when you look at the 15 and under level, we talk about it. Let's talk about big kids. When you look at big kids at the 15 and under level, are they 6'5" and have a bunch of muscle and hair on their chest and they're done growing? Or are they like 6'7" and look like they're 12 in the face and they're going to continue to grow? And, sometimes you see a kid dominate 15 and under, but by the time he's 17 and under, everybody's not only as big as him, but actually bigger than him now. And, he can't play dead. So that potentially eases the scouting process for guys like us. It's very interesting way to look at it.
Yeah, and that's how I look at. That's why I like to go to open gyms. And the other thing about it is, man, we've got some of the open gyms that I've gone to are the most competitive open gyms. It's not like you're watching like AAU basketball. Hey, I'm from Indiana. We're playing this team from California. I don't know about those guys. I don't care about those guys, you know? Whereas, you've got some rivalry. Like guys are jockeying for positions and stuff like that. They're jockeying for starting time, you know? In some of the,
and vice versa, you get, we've had this conversation. It's easy to kind of play hard or be super engaged in the moment in the Nike EYBL and the Under Armour Association and the high school state tournament in Michigan. But, open gym after a long week of school on a Thursday, you've already had 4 days of school. You're worried about girls. You're worried about homework and all this other stuff that, maybe it's a school you're not even familiar with that's coming to watch you. It's a good opportunity for the college coach to find out, how dedicated the basketball kid is, how much, they view themselves as a competitor. And again, how do they treat their teammates and whatnot?
Yeah. And I think the other thing I like about open gyms is if let's say the high school coach is there or there's a coach there, that college coach can talk with that coach while they're playing. That never happens in AAU. It just doesn't, because the coaches aren't coaching them. It's just kids that are going out there and playing. So, to be able to, sit with high school coaches and a college coach, and if I'm there, I could fill in whatever, and because they'll say, it might be the first time that they're ever seeing them play in high school. But I think the other important thing is you get to build a network, through the high school coaches and stuff like that. And kind of like what you were saying earlier is, sometimes, powerhouse programs, they might have a down year or a little lull in the action, if you might say. But it allows them to really go over there and build that network with high school coaches. And then you also know who you might run into, like in the, just going through the hallways and stuff like that. I've seen teachers that have come in and stuff like that, and the college coach will ask, hey, well, how's he doing in this subject or whatever, and you really can't BS, that math teacher isn't going out there and saying, oh yeah, he's a great kid and he's this and he's that, when he's not, oh, he's a smart kid.
And then especially it represents the entire school. So, I mean, if you're in Michigan, so we'll use the Michigan example again. If you're at, Detroit Renaissance High School and somebody from Michigan or Michigan State walks in, it's added marketability for the entire, student body to see, hey, University of Michigan's at our school, Michigan State's at our school. And, it goes really beyond just the kid that they're recruiting.
Oh yeah. I mean, trust me, I've walked down hallways into the gym and stuff like that, and the kid will pass by, and all of a sudden they'll be like, "Oh, that's so and so right there. Hey, can I get a picture with you?"
Right,
or something like that.
That's TJ Kelley.
Yeah. I'm a picture denier most of the time. I don't need everybody to know about my whereabouts.
That's Zach Fleer.
Sometimes moving in silence and stuff like that is a quality. But right. With open gyms.
Hold on. Did you just say that you move in silence? I'm gonna have to call bullshit, bud.
Well, it's true. Sometimes I bet the truth. I just tweeted about that the other day. Don't tweet about whereabouts. Actually, a college coach when Twitter really first started coming out, and he's a head coach now in the Big East. We're at the gym, and he's like, and he sends me a text. He's like, hey, don't tweet my whereabouts. And that's one of the best. And that coach knows who I'm talking about, and there might be a few other guys.
I think we all know who you're talking about.
But but I mean, it's the open gyms are great. And the other thing for me with open gyms, it allows me to go see teams and see where they're gonna pretty much whether they're going to be a top 10 team or not, because I also work for the State Champs Network, which has a weekly show, a high school sports show on Fox Sports Local Detroit. And so I have to go and just so I can, because when I'm doing my write-ups, my preseason and all that stuff, I want to be as accurate as possible.
Well, you get to know, like, you see Pershing and you're like, oh, they're good. And then you go see, man, I'm struggling today. I'll use Renaissance again. You go see Renaissance, and you're like, man, like, well, I've just seen both schools, so when they play in January, I got to make sure I'm there.
Yeah,
and you gain all that information.
Yep.
Which you already knew. I mean, on a smaller scale.
Yeah, but it's still good to go and see some of these guys and stuff like that. And not only that, I help with the Motor City Round Ball Classic. I've been doing the scheduling for the last 6, 7, 8 years. So what it allows me to do is say, all right, this would be a good matchup. I want to see a couple of senior shooters, or guards or whatever it is, just because I think that I want the most competitive matchup as possible. I mean, we got 7 games in a day. I'm not trying to watch blowouts.
Right. So, you want to sell tickets.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing is I want to watch competitive games. I mean, might struggle, but I mean, if it's a 5-point game or a 1-possession game, coming down the last few minutes, all of a sudden it makes it that much more exciting. Now, if you got a running clock or a 25 points, something like that blowout, then I kind of lose interest just because, the competition is kind of leaving, because it's not a competitive game. So, but yeah, that's another benefit that for me, as far as going to open gyms. And I know we've got Cincinnati Withrow and Cincinnati Colleran. And I think we've also got Pickerington Central and I believe Columbus Northland who are making the trip over this year.
Well, save a hotel room for Kurt Stubbs for Pickerington.
Oh yeah, all right, yeah. And I don't even think this year it's not on a Monday, so you can even make a trip up and he won't miss Monday Night Raw.
I'd love to make it up. I'm going to try to. So. Well, TJ, that's all the time we got. Tremendous having a conversation with you as always, man. Always enjoy it.
Yes, tremendous conversation.
Excellent choice.
Hey, excellent choice. Hey, I appreciate you guys, and you guys are doing a great job. And
do you have any questions for Jay Morrow? Do you have any questions for Jay Morrow?
Yeah, has he ever used a Flowbee?
A what?
A Flowbee. It's like a haircutting machine. You probably, you just bounce it on your head and stuff like that. As soon as you get off. Yep, that should be your new nickname, Flowbee. Because you got the stylish haircut.
Ladies and gentlemen, TJ Kelley.
All
right, guys. Thank you, TJ. Guys, that was TJ Kelley, Inside Prep Sports out of Michigan. You listen to the Triple Double Prospects Triple Double Podcast. Triple Double Podcast. TJ, appreciate you, brother.